What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. We are breaking down some of the biggest takeaways from Alabama's press conference today with Kane Womack, Ryan Grubb, and Kalen DeBoer. And we're going to talk about two freshmen on today's show that are really giving Alabama some game-changing play. And we'll see if they can help this Crimson Tide team as the season goes on. Before we get into that, though, we did this yesterday. I want to do the same thing and make up some more ground on Joey Peterson and the Tennessee Football Talk here at Chat Sports. We gained about 100 subscribers on the Tennessee Football Talk, so I want to do it again. We are going up against them in our monthly sub battle coming up this weekend, man. It is the third Saturday in October, and I want to catch them by the time we get to Saturday. So if you're not already, hit that sub button and stay up to date on all things Crimson Tide news. All right, first up, let's get into some injury news here for Alabama. 3 wide receivers were listed on the availability report leading up to that Missouri game last week. Kalen DeBoer was asked about why some of these guys were on the injury report, and he told us that Jalen Hale had an illness that he was dealing with last year. He was just kind of sick, so he was out in that game. Meadows, obviously in the game, got knocked out cold and ended up with a concussion, so going through protocol for that. And then Jaylen Mbakwe also sustained a hand injury during practice last week, so he ended up being out for that game against Missouri last week. And look, that's 3 wide receivers right there, but I don't really think this is any cause for concern, especially with the depth that Alabama has right now at that wide receiver spot. Germie Bernard's been going absolutely insane so far this year. I do think Ryan Williams might be a little bit more banged up than what we've kind of really heard about him so far this year. And Isaiah Horton, man, he's just coming along, and he's playing better and better every single week here. When you talk about, the snap counts that these wide receivers have been getting, you see the 3 guys right there. But, man, Lotzeir Brooks has been playing out of his mind for this Crimson Tide team. He's 4th right now in terms of receiving yards for this Alabama team. Rico Scott right behind him as well. I know a lot of us really wanted Jalen Hale to make that step forward coming back from his season-ending injury last year. He really just hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities to do that so far this year, but I do think he's still coming along as well. And, Kalen DeBoer even talked about Jaylen Mbakwe. He hasn't played a ton of snaps, on the offensive side of the ball, but there are some other things that he can do as well. Cole Adams right now, he's kind of, your punt returner. Maybe Jaylen Mbakwe gets some of those punt return snaps. Let's keep on going here with some of the injury news. Jam Miller. Right now, we all know that he sustained that concussion during that Missouri game. I honestly missed it when it happened. Obviously, I knew he got injured, but I didn't realize, he got hit in the head as bad as that actually happened. So we'll see. We said in our video yesterday during our overreaction video that it was Jam Miller or bust right now in this running back room, and I hope I'm definitely wrong on that front because you're going to need some guys to step up. Kevin Riley started off the season, okay, but I think he could do a little bit better there. Daniel Hill really hasn't gotten going either. And you really haven't seen anything out of Richard Young either so far this year. And I know he's another guy that a lot of Alabama fans were really, really excited about. So we'll see if Jam Miller can get cleared from that concussion protocol as you go into this game versus Tennessee. One more player that I wanted to touch on here as well, Cayden Jones, was also listed on the availability report last week. Kalen DeBoer saying he had an ankle injury and he ended up actually having surgery on that ankle. And Kalen DeBoer saying he's going to be down for a while, which really shouldn't be that big of a deal, I don't think. You got your 3 starting guys right there. Justin Jefferson's been playing really good football. Deontay Lawson's continuing to get better and better and better. And Nikhai Green has been a really solid player in the run game as well. If one of those 3 guys goes down, I would assume QB Reese is going to be the next guy up there. After him, though, it's a big question mark. Is it a guy like Abdul Sanders or Luke Metz, one of those 2 true freshmen that would probably go in, after QB Reese? But, knock on wood, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as of right now, Cayden Jones is going to be down for a while with that ankle injury. So going back to Jam Miller here and kind of sticking on that discussion of the running backs, I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's video. What is your concern level with Jam Miller's injury, especially if he is not able to go this week against Tennessee. Scale it for me, 1 to 10. 1, you're not worried about it at all. 10, you're absolutely freaking out. You don't think Alabama's going to be able to run the ball versus Tennessee. Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. Now let's get into two of these 5-star freshmen that have really been making a name for themselves the past couple weeks here. Ryan Grubb said that Michael Carroll is, quote, very close to being able to be an every down guy for this Alabama team. Obviously, starting off at that right tackle spot was Wilkin Formby at the beginning of the year. And, this is where, you watch the games and, I'm consistently, calling out Wilkin Formby, getting beat, play after play after play. And this is where I kind of disagree sometimes with the PFF numbers because, I think they said he's only given up 1 sack so far this year, only a couple pressures for him. But, maybe some of those pressures are actually being accredited to Ty Simpson for holding onto the ball too long. On some plays, I think that could be fair. But, overall, when Michael Carroll gets in the game, it just seems like he's playing at a different level right now than Wilkin Formby is. And that's why Ryan Grubb pointed to, the consistency level is what Ryan Grubb pointed to when talking about what he needs to see from both him and Wilkin Formby at that right tackle spot, saying when Michael gets, he said, Michael, when the game is moving fast, he's just got to be able to do the same exact thing. Honestly, there was one pressure pickup that Michael made in the game, and it was, just super encouraging. We're in the unit meeting. I called Michael out in front of everybody, said, whose fault is this? Whose missed assignment is this here? And Michael takes full accountability for that. He said it's mine. He knew exactly what should have happened on that play. He was immediately able to articulate what should have happened in that play, and the growth that you can see from a young player like that just proves to me that he is very close to being a every down guy here at that right tackle spot. Kind of, going on that consistency train about both of these guys in that battle right now at that right tackle position. He said consistency is the biggest thing for both of them. Different vantage points for both guys. I think consistency is one of the biggest parts. Whether it's Michael having a full grasp of the offense or Wilkin Formby executing at his highest capability, we've just got to be better consistency at that spot. And we'll see here in the next couple of weeks. I definitely do think that Michael Carroll right now is coming for Wilkin Formby's job. All right, we'll continue to talk about another player here in just a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you guys can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more than on Josh Allen's passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. This is what we got cooked up for the double dose of Monday Night Football games tonight, going with Bijan Robinson more than rushing attempts for him, less than Keon Coleman receiving yards, and then the other game, Washington versus Chicago, going with more than on half an interception for Caleb Williams, and Ja'Cory Merritt going with more than on just a half touchdown for him. That one could be rushing or receiving. Prize Picks is super simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in today. Play Prize Picks to get action on football in more than 40 different states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and yes, Prize Picks is available in Alabama as well. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the description of today's show. It's also going to be down at the pinned comment of today's show as well. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now, freshman cornerback Dijon Lee against Missouri actually played twice, actually more than twice the amount of snaps than Domani Jackson got in that game versus Missouri. Dijon Lee had 49 snaps. Domani Jackson had 22 snaps in this game this past weekend, and he did a phenomenal job. Kane Womack, pointed to the fact that Alabama had 5 opportunities to get turnovers. They only got 2 turnovers in that game. I think another one was the fumble that went out of bounds that, I'll be completely honest, I thought Keon Sabb recovered that one in bounds. But, Dijon Lee was targeted 6 times in this game, only gave up 1 reception in that ball game versus Missouri. Also had the game-sealing interception, and he should have had another interception that he ended up dropping. But, when it comes to this battle right now between Dijon Lee and Domani Jackson, I'm not trying to make any type of points against Dijon Lee playing at all. He's come a long way since getting beat in that Florida State game, but I do think Domani Jackson is catching some strays right now because of that missed tackle that turned into a touchdown against Missouri. It was a bad play. I definitely think he does want that one back, but you can see, according to PFF, you can take it with a grain of salt, but, from the first 3 games to the last 3 games, Domani Jackson has been getting picked on a little bit here. First 3 games, he was targeted for only 4 times, only gave up 1 reception for 0 yards, just tackled the defender right there at the line of scrimmage. But the last 3 games now, he's given up 5 catches on 8 targets for 84 yards. That's still not awful by any means. But, when you also look at the PFF coverage grades right here, you can see the correlation as well. The first 3 games, he was in the 60s. The last 3 games there, we played a little bit better versus Vanderbilt, which is kind of funny because when you're actually looking at the, PFF coverage stats there against Vanderbilt, they were actually 3 for 3 against Domani Jackson. But, it wasn't for a ton of yards by any means there. So I do think, I still have a lot of confidence right now in Domani Jackson, but that's not to say Dijon Lee does not deserve the opportunities that he's been getting here over the past couple games for this Alabama defense. Kane Womack talking about Dijon Lee today. He said, "We talk about it all the time. It's just a body of work, and you have to answer for the things that we put on tape, and we just felt like Dijon was doing that in the game. And as the game was going on, he was operating at a very efficient level and doing his job at an efficient level. What you do in practice and what you do in the games ultimately determines the amount of playing time moving forward. And so Dijon's certainly on a very good trajectory right now." And like I said, I'm not trying to say, that I think that, Dijon Lee shouldn't necessarily be playing over Domani Jackson right now, but I do think Domani Jackson's just catching some strays here for that missed tackle that he had versus Missouri because, let's be honest, it was pretty bad. He should have tackled the guy. It ended up just going right by him and let him walk in for a touchdown there. But either way, let me know what you guys think. Pick a cornerback for me if you guys want to down in the comment section. You could also do B for both if you just continue or want to continue to see both of these guys in games. But let me know. Pick a cornerback. Type J for Domani Jackson or type L for Dijon Lee. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's video.